Most of all, Donald Trump wants us to think that this country is hopelessly divided between us and them, between the, quote, real Americans who support him, of course, and the outsiders who don't. The enemies within. Because, what did I say about Boone? Vote! Because Donald Trump understands, and he's not wrong about this, that dividing people, making them angry, will boost his chances of being elected. It's not good for the country, but it might improve his odds. We saw it last night. I know nobody's going to boo now. All you're going to do is vote. Hold on a second. So the man holds this big rally at Madison Square Garden. And the warm-up speakers were saying we're trotting out and peddling the most racist, sexist, bigoted stereotypes. One guy called Puerto Rico, quote, an island of garbage. Now, these are fellow citizens he's talking about. Here in Philadelphia, they are your neighbors. They are your friends. They are your co-workers. Their kids go to school with your kids. These are Americans. They're people. And that is the reason why this election should not be close. It should be clear. Here's a good rule. If somebody does not respect you, if somebody does not see you as fellow citizens with equal claims to opportunity, to the pursuit of happiness, to the American dream, you should not vote for them. You should not expect them to make your life better. They will not help you make they will not help you pay the bills. They're not gonna work hard to make sure your kid gets a good education. They're not gonna help you with a down payment on a house. I mean, we have to reject the kind of politics of division and hatred that we saw represented. America's ready to turn the page. America's ready for a better story. Philadelphia, we are ready for a president, Kamala Harris.
Joining me now, Peabody and Emmy award-winning journalist Geraldo Rivera, who has endorsed Kamala Harris for president. Geraldo, good to see you. Let's just get right into this because a floating island of garbage and then Puerto Rico in the same sentence, it's unbelievable to think about this would have been said. You call this hate speech. Is this a moment that is going to be a turning point in Trump's campaign?
I believe it is, and I may be naive or don't understand the business of politics, but I sense, Laura, after a lifetime in this business, that this is a watershed moment. I believe, and I don't think it's overstating, that historians will look back at this moment and say that's where Donald Trump lost the Latino vote. That's where he lost the vote of many people of color, people who were drifting toward him, for some reasons inexplicable, some reasons that maybe they just wanted to get on the Trump train. But I believe that Trump peaked last night. And I believe that the polls will show that. This was so disgustingly insulting. This was so racist. But what it did, Laura, was to open and lay bare what was implied in President Trump's remarks for most of this campaign, talking about immigrants poisoning the blood of our nation. Immigrants have a trick gene that makes them more prone to homicide. You know, this is such slander, racial slander. And the fact that this comedian could feel comfortable enough to go on that stage, what was to be his President Trump's finale, his closing argument, and to make it instead this low down and dirty racial remark. He made overt, this comedian, what was implied in the Trump campaign, and that is an undercurrent of racism that is deeply disturbing, Laura.
You know, Geraldo, when you lay it out the way you have, I cannot help but think of two things. One, there's a distancing of people from those comments, from the campaign itself. Trump certainly is not the one to have said those specific words, but I take your point about the overall context. But you also have the fact that in spite of the building up to this moment of a closing argument, he's virtually tied in spite of the rhetoric. So why do you think this time it would be different?
Well, I mean, the fact that he has got half of the country, I think that again, historians will ponder that question. I think that there is a deep division. And I'm not condemning Trump supporters. I believe that they are in some ways very deceiving themselves about why Trump is even a candidate. How is this man not disqualified? This is a man who you can't trust to honor the Constitution. This is a man who stabbed the Constitution in the back on January 6th in the attack on democracy and peaceful succession and all the rest of that. And yet he did, and yet he is, and the president, former president, I believe, is appealing to the basest, lowest instincts of people who are disgruntled and want to do anything they can to fight Kamala Harris and the Democrats. I'm not a Democrat, I'm a Republican. I have liked and supported Donald Trump for a long time, but he now has gone beyond the pale, and it is intolerable, Laura.
Well, Geraldo, some Republicans, like Senator Rick Scott, for example, were very quick to distance themselves from the comments. Others, like Vivek Ramaswamy, called this selective outrage. And he pointed to a George Lopez remark about stereotyping Mexicans as thieves during a Tim Walz rally yesterday in Arizona. Listen to that moment.
Donald Trump said he was going to build a wall, and George Lopez said, you better build it in one day, because if you leave that material out there overnight,
So what's your response to those who are saying that it is like Vivek Ramaswamy, this is somehow selective outrage?
This was so blatant and odious. This was so deeply disturbing to any man or woman, especially any Latino man to whom the Republican Party or Donald Trump is appealing. Any Latino man who does not understand that a vote for Donald Trump is a vote against his own self-respect, is a vote against his self-esteem. When George Lopez does this, it's the same thing as using the N-word. You know, there's people who are living in a life and put humor in their own experience. God bless them. Say anything you want about yourself. But when you attack me and mine, and my family, and my grandparents, and my parents, I take it very, very personally. Puerto Rico is a perennially embattled place. It has been neglected. It has been mismanaged. I want Puerto Rico to be a state, to have the checks and balances of statehood. That's my personal preference. But we are a people, you know, and Puerto Rico is part of the United States, and I hasten to add that Puerto Ricans are citizens and they are voting. But it is, we live on kind of the edge. The poorest by far, you know, it's half the GDP of Mississippi. Lots and lots of people that are in need. It is a place without electricity half the time when the wind blows over 20 miles an hour. We need to know that our leaders respect us. We need not to be concerned when people say, oh, they're eating cats and dogs, the Haitians are, or compare us with invaders. I just think that we have to stand up and we have to make sure that we cast the ballot and have our voices heard, Laura.